You are watching Business Today in association with Telkom.
The Telkom Enterprise provides the secure links to connect our Huduma centers, the ministries, departments, and agencies with which we integrate to our data centers. Telkom Enterprise puts the enter in enterprise.
Telkom Enterprise, enhancing business growth.
Welcome back to the second part of the program. And like I mentioned, we shall now be delving on matters to do with the upcoming AMCHAM Summit. And it is tied to our Twitter poll question this afternoon, where we are asking you, how can small and medium-sized enterprises be aided to better gain access to export markets? Do we need to ease regulations? Do we need to provide more market linkages? Do we need to create awareness, or perhaps set up exchange programs? All this will be the subject of discussion in our upcoming interview with Maxwell Okello, and he is already with us here in studio. And we'll be getting to just understand what AMCHAM is all about and why is it an important event for Kenya. Many thanks, Max, for making time for us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And just to get straight to the point, perhaps just walk us through the history behind AMCHAM and why now?
All right, so AMCHAM was set up by a group of American investors in Kenya way back in 2005. And over the years, you know, it's formed into a member organization representing various American and commercial interests in Kenya. This includes, you know, your big multinationals, to various affiliates who also work together with these multinationals. And so the American Chamber basically is about catalyzing and promoting trade and investment between Kenya and the US. And we do that not just for American entities playing in Kenya, but we do it for Kenyan entities as well who would want to seek opportunities in the US market. And
Max, you've been an advisor in the insurance industry, in the banking sector, and AMCHAM is seen as a key event for the SMEs that are looking forward to expanding their horizons and tapping into the export market. Just walk us through what will be the significance of AMCHAM coming to Kenya. Of course, you also know that former US President Barack Obama will also be in the country in July. Perhaps what should we expect out of AMCHAM?
All right, so the AMCHAM Economic Summit is basically a collaborative platform that brings together the Kenyan government, the US private sector, and of course the Kenyan private sector, to basically dialogue, talk about joint aspirations, the challenges, and the opportunities that exist specifically around the Big Four agenda. And so there is a huge opportunity for any commercial enterprise that would like to participate in opportunities that relate to the Big Four, and more specifically, basically looking at where we can create linkages, where we can create partnerships that will ensure that we're able to move the needle when it comes to the Big Four agenda for government.
All right. And just walk us through, of course, we do know that currently there are some major challenges to trade, especially for the SMEs, from capital side of things, from capacity side of business as well. And what will be the takeaway for these SMEs that are gearing up for the AMCHAM Summit?
Yeah, I think the key thing here is we are creating an opportunity to actually connect, to be able to create the right linkages for Kenyan enterprises that want to partner with US commercial entities. We're having a delegation of over 60+ businessmen and US government officials who are coming here specifically to discuss matters relating to commercial engagements. And so this provides a really good platform, in our view, for any Kenyan entity and any affiliated American entity that wants to really get to the heart of some serious business engagements. And so for us, really, it's more of a facilitative role where we're bringing together and creating a point of dialogue for any business that would want to leverage opportunities in the US.
All right. And Okello, this comes under the background of direct flights between Kenya and the United States, expected to happen in October. But what sort of sectors can Kenyan SMEs look up to when it comes to tapping into the US market. Will this also be a key theme of focus in this particular summit?
Actually, at the end of the day, if you look at what the direct flights will do for Kenya, it's really opening up that US market. And it's not just outbound, it's inbound as well. And so if you are an SME playing in horticulture, playing in the broader agricultural space, if you're in product, if you're in technology, if you're in freight services, I think there's an opportunity for you to really benefit from these direct flights, because then, it will shorten, of course, the turnaround. We know one of the key areas that are going to benefit greatly is the cut flower industry. Horticulture, of course, will be a big one relating to that. And then if you look at the entire tourism ecosystem, I think there's a huge opportunity there, with the US now being the current, the leading source market for foreign tourists into Kenya.
All right. And it goes without saying that, of course, African countries have, over the years, had challenges accessing European markets, as well as the American market, to be precise. And, of course, there have been barriers to trade when it comes to standards, quality issues. And how do we navigate around this? Because at the end of the day, it's one thing to hold a summit. It's another thing to ensure that we have sustainable trade practices that can unlock the full trade potential for Kenya.
Absolutely. I mean, we do have challenges. I think we need to recognize that fact. And these challenges relate to, quality standards. They relate to consistency of our products and services. The way I would look at it is by, opening our borders to trade with these multinational companies, and not just big corporations, but we're talking about the SME type businesses in the US that really want to do business with Kenya. It actually affords us an opportunity to, be able to engage in technology transfer, skills transfer and capacity building, quality processes and systems that would actually allow us to raise our standards. And at the end of the day, I think that then becomes a win-win for everyone.
All right.
Yeah.
And just want to get your closing thoughts as well, in terms of now that there's a lot of expectations ahead of the summit, and what would you say to us when it comes to, do we have perhaps a portfolio of deals that we know they are likely to be inked out of this summit? And do you know the size of the deals?
Well, deals are there. I think you need to come to the summit to experience that. Yeah, but yeah, there definitely will be some deals that will be inked at this summit. It's a big one for us, and the president will actually headline the summit, so that shows you the seriousness with which government is taking this as well. And the summit will be held on the 28th. I need to mention it will be at the UN in Gigiri, and it's actually one of those milestones that we think will really define the relationship when it comes to commercial ties and engagement between Kenya and the US. We have a very, as I mentioned before, a very big delegation that, I think will make a big difference for us as a country, and of course for anybody who wants to play in that space with the US and Kenya business.
All right.
Yeah.
Many thanks, Max.
Thank you very much for
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
And of course, KTN Business Today will be at that particular summit, and we'll be broadcasting it live. Make sure you keep it locked on Thursday next week. Well, away from matters to do with trade, let's take you to some other reactions just after last week's budget. And the glass manufacturing industry operators have raised concerns over the move by the government to increase tax in the recent budget proposal read by Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich. They have differed with the government that power tariffs have gone down, stating that there is still a huge burden presented by Kenya Power and that the industry will suffer major blows if implemented.
Charging royalties by putting unnecessary taxes. At the same time today, the duty in Kenya on imported bottles from India and Oman is 25%. However, records speak that 80 containers come into the country every month, which is around 8 million bottles coming into the country every month. Out of that, 50% of it is duty payable 25%. However, out of that 50%, the duty declared or the value declared on every container is 50%, 80% of the value. So people are basically not even paying the full 25% duty. This way we are losing out because the goods are cheaper into Kenya. KRA is losing out, the government is losing out. I personally written to KRA, I've written to KAM, written all the different departments, nobody's taking care of it because there's more benefits to them than to the government by paying the full 25% duty. So though there's duty of 25% to protect Kenyan manufacturers, there's a lot of under-invoicing happening into the country. And that way the full 25% duty is not paid. People are only paying 12% duty or 15% duty in full values. Meaning if a container is $8,000, this guy's bringing the container at $4,000 and pay duty on $4,000 rather than $8,000. So $4,000 worth of goods come in duty-free into the country. The budget that was read out was only good for a few manufacturers. It was good for people in oil, good for people in textile, footwear, and also people in pepper and pepper products.
As live. Well, apologies for that. Of course, just having some backroom conversations around what manufacturers are going through in the very interesting economy in Kenya. Well, the Competition Authority of Kenya says it will be making major announcements in a bid to curb abuse of dominance by companies that are out to overcharge consumers on various services. Well, I spoke to the Director General of the Competition Authority, and here now is part of that conversation. Well, indeed, many thanks for joining us, and I'm standing by with the Director General of the Competition Authority of Kenya, Mr. Wangombe, and we just want to get a sense of some of the key issues that have been happening in the Competition Authority, as well as talk to us about some of the major milestones you have made so far.
Thank you, Abby, for having me, and thanks for KTN for always engaging us in competition regulation in this country. Abby, the authority, generally, if you have seen in the media reports, has been focusing on transparency in the mobile payments and digital financial services. In the last few months, is that the authority ordered the service providers for those services to be more transparent in terms of the charges and the rates they are charging the consumers. Number two, also in regard to the mobile transfer payments. These days when you're sending money through the mobile phones, is that you always see that prompt that this is going to cost you this. How much? Do you want to proceed? That is work of the Competition Authority. Then there has been another issue we have been focusing in the financial services in regard to the cost of the USSD. When you are withdrawing your money from your bank account to your mobile wallet, it has been quite expensive, and also some of the providers have been discriminatory in regard to giving different services to some of the different rates to some of the consumers in the market. Yes. And we engaged the dominant player, and we ordered them to reduce by 99% of the charges they were costing. The other area we are focusing on, it's in regard to ensuring that we have a good investment climate in this country through mergers. For example, is that we have managed to reduce the number of days we take to analyze mergers from the statutory 60 to 40 days. This does not mean that we are affecting the quality, but it's an issue of making Kenya a better investment destination than our neighbors. The other area we have been focusing on, it's in regard to harmonizing our merger regime with COMESA regime, because there has been an issue of where the people have been, investors have been forced to do dual notification in COMESA and ourselves. So we have come up with regulations which we are going to engage the National Treasury and Parliament and Gazette so that we can cede some powers to COMESA in terms of the mergers which have cross-border ramifications. Mm-hmm. The other area is that we've heard about the Big Four agenda of the government. And if we look at the professional services, they are very key in regard to this Big Four agenda. One, it's construction. Is that you need an architect, you need a lawyer, you need a surveyor. And when you look at the professional fees, is that these people, they have set some minimum professional fees they have to charge you. And the authority is engaging the various government agencies so that at least we can amend these laws and ensure there's competition and innovation within these professional services. And with competition is that we will see the reduction in terms of the professional fees and be able to facilitate conveyance and help government achieve some of these big four agenda programs. The other area under our mandate which we have been focusing on, it's in regard to the restrictive trade practice, abuse of dominance. Soon we shall be making an announcement in regard to abuse of dominance settlement we have made. I'll be specific, it's in regard to the beauty industry. We have managed to conclude one and set some administrative penalty for the farm which was abusing its dominance. And we hope that this is going to make the prices of the cosmetics and the beauty for our ladies to be more beautiful, to be lower. Then the other area we are focusing on, and we have interacted with the Parliament and the National Treasury, and they have supported us. We have seen a lot of challenges in our retail sector, where some farms have been collapsing, SMEs are not being paid. There has been some amendment within the Competition Act where there are provisions in regard to abuse of buyer power. We are going to operationalize them in the coming financial year so that we can be able to regulate the retail sector so that our SMEs are not detrimented by the abuse of buyer power by the big retail sector, and also ensuring that the retail sector is thriving to support the manufacturing sector, which is key as a big four agenda of this country.
All right, and DG, as we wrap up, of course, for many Kenyans, the question of abuse of dominance has been a very thorny issue. We've seen this happening in the retail space. We've seen this happening in the telecommunications space. Perhaps, how soon are we expecting to get these administrative issues being enforced? And in the eventuality this happens, perhaps paint for us a picture of what consumers should expect.
Let me clarify, and I'm happy you have mentioned abuse of dominance. The challenge has been, there's one of school of thought which has been taking dominance is an illegality per se. The stand and the law, as it is an international best practice, dominance is not an illegality. What is an illegality is abuse of that dominance. And wherever we have realized that there's that abuse of dominance and we are privy to it, we have come on board and ensured that that infraction has been extinguished, and we have seen the positive relationship in regard to our our engagement with the dominant player. For example, I'll give you an example. I've just mentioned the abuse of dominance under the USSD, where we have seen prices moving from 8 bob per session, 8 Kenya shillings, to 1 Kenya shilling per session. So proper engagement and extinguishing the abuse of dominance is that you will see prices going down like that. Also, in regard to issues where we had exclusivity in the mobile payments agents, where we saw one farm had just had some exclusive agreements with its agents. When we engaged, is that we saw, to increase competition in that sector, we saw the reduction in terms of the rates for transferring money under the band which is commonly used by the vulnerable group, going down by 67%. So extinguishing the abuse dominance, there's an obvious resultant effect on reduction of prices, and also it helps the small and medium enterprises enter the market, increasing competition and reducing prices, and also increasing the quality of products being offered.
Well, that is the Director General of the Competition Authority of Kenya in an exclusive interview on KTN, just trying to talk on matters regulation in the industry. Well, before we wrap up the program, in a bid to encourage value addition in the agribusiness sector, homegrown farm Honeycare has spread its wings by relaunching its processed honey in the Kenyan market. Speaking during the unveiling of the new brand, the farm CEO, David Gashoki, says that the flagship product has been beekeepers' honey, which was named in the honor of smallholder beekeepers across the East African region, from whom Honey Care sources honey. With a highly fragmented honey market, well, the entry of new varieties promises an exciting future for the agro-processing sector in the region.
What we've actually done and what we are celebrating today is a rebranding of all our honey products. We are the only company that is doing flavored honeys in the market, just the same way you like having it at home, so you don't have to go looking for lemons, you don't have to go looking for cinnamon, you don't have to go looking for mint, you don't have to go looking for all these flavors that we add to our honey, which mostly we take as dower or as part of creative properties that we require when we fall sick.
Well, on that sweet note, that's where we wrap up KTN Business Today for this week. My name is Abegina. Indeed, it's been a pleasure bringing you the business news throughout the week. Well, my colleague Wambua is standing by to bring us the latest just happening on matters to do with the Kenya Bureau of Standards Managing Director. We are getting reports that he has been arrested. Wambua, pengine ungetueleza kwa kinagaubaga.
Na asante sana Abiagina, bila shaka kama ulivyotaja ni kuwa mkurugenzi mkuu wa halmashauri ya kuangazia ubora wa bidhaa humu nchini KEBS na wengine 6 wameweza kukamatwa na sasa hivi wako kwenye makao makuu upelelezi hapa jijini Nairobi. Ni taarifa ambazo tutakuwa nakuletea muda usio mrefu hapa kwenye taarifa za mbio ya KTN kuanzia saa 10, lakini kwanza kabisa hebu tupumzike. Abi nasema ni asante sana.
Na asante sana mwenzangu, tunapumzika kidogo. Hivi karibuni tunarudi na mengi katika KTN leo.
Business Today in association with Telkom.
The Telkom Enterprise provides the secure links to connect our Huduma centers, the ministries, departments and agencies with which we integrate to our data centers. Telkom Enterprise puts the enter in enterprise.
Telkom Enterprise, enhancing business growth.